Rosa Parks. So, I had grown up mostly in San Luis Obispo, California, which is in the central coast or the center coast of California, about 200 miles away from Los Angeles, 200 more or so from San Francisco. Small little town, and the university town has a polytechnic school dealing with agriculture and farming and mechanical and electrical engineering, as often as it relates to agriculture and business. So grew up there, but would often go to LA and Inglewood maybe once a month, maybe a couple times a year, or several times a year, to spend time with my family members there, who would really often take me to, things that were important for young Black folks. So my grandmother got really excited about taking me to see an exhibit that was being done at a Macy's in Baldwin Hills, a historic kind of Black area in Los Angeles, and it was for Rosa Parks. And so I thought we were going to see when the exhibit was going to be, also go shopping. But when we got there, as we were coming in, we literally ran into Rosa Parks. And I was like 9 years old, and she was Rosa Parks, and I was taller than Rosa Parks because I was huge. Maybe it was 10. And it was just like, wow, you're Rosa Parks, and like I'd seen Rosa Parks in books and things, right? And known this person to be this really important person in Black history who had courageously sat up and said she wasn't going to take any more segregation. And much has been written about many other people who also contributed to the civil rights movement. But when I was a little Black kid growing up, Rosa Parks was like, whoa, you got up from the bench. You got up from the bus seat, right? I mean, as a kid, you're never supposed to get up from the bus seat. So it's like a whole, I don't know, for when I was a kid, I was like, wow, she was really, who gets up from the bus seat in general? But, to do this in the face of, being threatened for your life was impressive. And just far more impressive was to see her being like 4'7", soaking wet or something. And, at that point she was with a cane and was walking slowly, but, greeted every person who approached her and, spent some time speaking with me when I said, I was a huge fan and I was really excited to meet her. And I told her, really excited, like, I'm going to be in activism and I'm going to change the world. And she was like, no, don't do that. She was like, flat out, just like, that's her standard answer. Go to school, please. Go to college. If Rosa Parks told you anything, get your degree. And I was like, wow, okay. And, like, very kind of like, really, they don't care for you. And I was kind of just taken aback by this person who was such a huge part of the Black civil rights movement, being, so dismissive of activism. And as I came to find out in her later years that she had really been let down by a community of activists in her area, that very few people had stepped up besides, I think the guy who runs Little Caesars Pizza, people like that would, kind of jump in to give her some support. But I didn't really see a lot of support for her as she became older. That was kind of crystallized in the moment that I met her, where we all were like, "Oh, we're going to take Rosa Parks," and we're walking with her as we get to her exhibit. And then we arrived at her exhibit, and it wasn't finished. It wasn't ready. They had told her the wrong date. She wasn't supposed to be there. And so it turned out it wasn't that day. It was another day. There was some confusion. We had nobody. We had shown up too, but she was there, and she had come a day early, and no real care. It was just like, okay, we can go back to the car now. And I was like, wow, like, you're Rosa Parks, and like, it's not even open. It just felt really real to me that these historical moments that are often touted and written about in books are often leveraged and capitalized on people who are not those people in those histories, right? And so I definitely encourage anybody who is Black, who's female, who's non-binary, who's Black masculine, who's Black male, who's Black in any way, to be thoughtful about what you lend your time experience to in things that aren't going to repay you directly, right? Like, why wouldn't you be paid when other people's expenses are paid? Why aren't yours? Right? Why is it that we come last? And it doesn't really matter what your politics are or whatever. We really have to address that inequity is a consistent experience for Black people, often, if not always, in liberal progressive communities, right? That tokenize our experience, that often want to hear the trauma stories and dismiss them, and not actually get to work on the issues that we need around housing, homelessness, HIV, discrimination. Instead it's just, oh, here's another chance for us to be white and gay and win the day. So I have to believe that's not what I'm hoping for my future. That it's a whole bunch of people who all look the same, dress the same, and a whole bunch of disrespect for the people who built everything that these same people tout and rely on. Or are they false and fake? Perhaps.